Unit 3 is Chapter 7 and Chapter 8 in my little setup here. So those are the three things that we'll discuss: your heart, blood vessels, and then your blood. So our first lesson, Lesson 5, and then Lesson 6, will be all about your heart. So Lesson 5 is Anatomy of the Heart. Lesson 6 is Heart Dissection. So we'll spend a little bit of time talking about your heart and how your heart works and what your heart is made out of. And then we will dissect a heart. So what we'll do today is the anatomy part. All you need to have is that picture that I gave you, and we are going to start labeling some of the things that are on it. So you have this diagram. And when we talk about the heart and the things that are associated with it, there's actually a couple of categories that we could use. The first category that we could use are the chambers of the heart. There are 4. One type of chamber in your heart is called an atrium, and the plural is atria. And you have 2 of them, number 5 and number 11. So number 5 on the diagram, even though it's on the left side of the picture, is your right atrium. And number 11 on the diagram, even though it's on the right side of the picture, is your left atrium. Now this is a scenario in which the side that it's on makes quite a bit of a difference because different things will be attached to it. The function of both of your atria is to receive blood from a vein. Your right atrium, so the one that's on the left of the picture, gets blood from your vena cava, which is a giant vein that comes back to your heart. The left atrium gets blood from your pulmonary vein. So a lot of what's happening in your heart is the direction that blood is moving, and that's one of the last things that we'll talk about in terms of what your heart is doing. So we have the atria, plural, your right atrium, which is number 5, and your left atrium, which is number 11. Now the other chambers are called ventricles. And just like with the atria, you have 2 of them. You have number 7 and you have number 14. Number 7 on the diagram is your right ventricle, and number 14 is your left ventricle. Now, what is the ventricle's job? Their job is more of a pumping function. Ventricles pump blood to arteries. So you might remember arteries go away from the heart, veins come towards the heart. We talked about that in the kidney section. So ventricles are at the bottom of your heart. The word is ventricle, and they kind of look like a V, hey? That's actually the shape of them, so that would be a thing that you could use. And if you look, the tissue around them, the sort of shaded part, that's muscle, and it's a lot thicker at the bottom than it is at the top. So your ventricles have a bit more muscle and a bit more nerve innervation so that they can really be pumping with a lot of force. Your right ventricle pumps blood to your pulmonary artery. So you've seen the word pulmonary twice. That means lungs. The left ventricle pumps blood to the aorta, which is the giant artery that comes out of your heart. We saw the aorta, or the descending piece of the aorta, when we talked about your kidneys. So those are the 4 chambers of your heart. Now, if you're going to color things, I will let you know that once we've named all of the parts, I'm going to show you which way blood flows, as well as which parts have oxygen in them and which parts don't. So you might want to hold off coloring things in completely until you see that part. Now, does anyone have questions about the chambers of the heart that they would like to ask? So the number 4 is going to repeat itself. There are 4 chambers. The next thing that we will name or label will be valves, and there are also 4 of those that we will discuss. Now, there are not 4 valves total in your whole body. There are 4 valves directly associated with your heart, so those are the 4 that we are going to discuss. The first type of valve you have are your semilunar valves. If you look at the word semilunar, it's because they look like a half moon if you actually look at their structure. These semilunar valves, their job is to attach arteries and ventricles and specifically to prevent backflow. Blood moves in one direction in your heart, and it's really important that it doesn't start going backwards. So these valves, just like a valve in your digestive system or a valve in your excretory system, are like a little opening or a door that can open and shut. Your semilunar valves are number, let's make sure we do this right here, 13 and number 16. Number 13, which is right here, is your aortic semilunar valve. And number 16, which is sort of right in the middle, is your pulmonary semilunar valve. So number 13, your aortic semilunar valve, is attaching your left ventricle and your aorta. The pulmonary semilunar valve is connecting your right ventricle and your pulmonary artery. So you have these 2 valves. They're between arteries and ventricles. They prevent the backflow of blood. Blood is flowing always from the ventricle to the artery. So once blood leaves your ventricle and enters the artery, then that valve will shut to make sure that blood doesn't go backwards. Now the other valves that you have are the cuspid valves. I put that in quotations because it's not really their name, but they both have it in their name, so I call them that. You have 2 other valves, number 6 and number 12. Number 6 is the tricuspid valve, And number 12 is the bicuspid valve. Number 12, the bicuspid valve, used to be called the mitral valve, and in some pieces of text, that's still what it's called. If you look at their names, they have bi and tri in them, essentially indicating that one of them has sort of two parts to it and the other one has three. Now these cuspid valves attach ventricles, and atria, if I could write today. So these valves are between the atria and ventricles on each side. The tricuspid valve is between the right atria and the right ventricle. The bicuspid valve is between left atria and left ventricle. Blood would flow from the atria to the ventricle. So this valve is going to stop blood from going backwards, just like the last type. So valves in general prevent the backflow of blood. Semilunar valves attach arteries and ventricles. Cuspid valves attach ventricles and atria. Does anyone have any valve-related questions that they would like to ask? Yes. And the atria together. So they're between the chambers of the heart, and the semilunar ones are between ventricles and a blood vessel. Now when we do the heart dissection, sometimes it's a little tough to find the semilunar valves, but it's quite easy to see the cuspid valves because it's very obvious where the atria and the ventricle meet, and it's quite a big structure. So you will definitely be able to see those valves when we dissect the heart. Now, does anyone else have any questions about valves that they would like to ask? All right, so we had 4 chambers, we have 4 valves, and we've already mentioned 4 major blood vessels, like I've already used the words, but we will label them specifically. Just wait till everybody looks like they're done. All right, so we have chambers, we have valves, then we have our blood vessels. So in terms of blood vessels, and when we talk about them just in general, not just attached to your heart, there are there's actually 3 main categories, 2 of which are attached to the heart. There are arteries. Arteries leave the heart. The 2 main arteries that leave your heart, first of all, number 1 is your aorta. Now, number 1 is showing you the superior part of the aorta. It's sort of a big arch, and it has branches coming off of it. Way down below, number 15 is an extension of that aorta. So we're trying to represent the fact that there is a superior and an inferior portion of the aorta, so the one that goes up and the one that goes down. And that's because you have cells above your heart and you have cells below your heart, and blood needs to get to all of them. The aorta receives blood from your left ventricle. So the left ventricle, that is what pumps blood out into your body from your heart. That is how most of your cells are receiving blood, and thus the oxygen and nutrients that would be contained in blood. Now that's not the only artery. There is another artery. Number 3 and number 9 are both branches of the same artery. Number 3 you'll see over here, number 9 you see up here. You can see where number 9 is coming from, and number 3 is just sort of a branch that comes off the back of that. It's coming from the right ventricle. Number 9 goes off to the right on the picture, so the left. Number 3 goes off to the left in the picture, so the right. So 3 would be your right pulmonary artery, and 9 would be your left pulmonary artery. You have a right and left because you have 2 lungs, so you need blood to get to both of your lungs to go pick up oxygen. So these 2 both receive blood from the right ventricle. Now the other type of blood vessels that you have are veins. Veins come toward your heart. So I always like to think artery starts with A. It goes away from your heart. Vein starts with V. It's not as nice of a connection, but it arrives at your heart. So there's a V in the word. In French, the word to come somewhere is venir, which is a very nice connection. So if you happen to know a little bit of French, there you go, little connection for you. Lots of other languages, the word to arrive somewhere, to go somewhere, starts with a V as well. Now, there are some veins. We had 2 basic arteries, the 2 branches of the aorta, the 2 branches of the pulmonary artery, but those are 2 main arteries. We also have 2 major veins. Number 2 and number 8 are both branches of the same vein. Number 2 is the superior vena cava, and number 8 is the inferior vena cava. So this is a big, humongous vein that brings all of the blood back to your heart from your body tissues. The superior vena cava brings blood from the upper part of your body, so sort of shoulders and up, so head, arms, etc. And the inferior vena cava brings blood from the bottom part of your body, so the bottom of your torso and your legs. At a point of interest, when I was working in my lab in university, and I had to take rats, do stuff to them, but in the end, they had to be put down so that I could take their brains out and look at them. But this was the blood vessel that I had to find and cut so that blood would drain from them instead of being pumped back into their heart. So this is the blood vessel that brings blood back to your heart. If this blood vessel is damaged, blood doesn't get back to your heart and it doesn't get pumped. So these 2 bring blood to your right atrium, singular. Now notice there's no valve there. There's a valve between ventricles and other structures, but not between the atria and a vein. Now the other veins, and I'll just come up here because I'm running out of space down low, are 4 and 10. So here's number 4, here's number 10. You'll notice they branch off to the left and to the right again, just like your pulmonary artery did. Number 4 is your right pulmonary vein, and number 10 is your left pulmonary vein. You need 2 of them because you have 2 lungs. Both of them bring blood from your lungs to your left atrium. So these are the big major blood vessels that bring blood in and out of your heart.